I think Marcus has a gift that everybody who plays this game wants to have, and that is he can really shoot the basketball. And I think putting him in a position to do that, I think that, fans that love our program, they're going to love, watching you shoot the ball.
This is the Sean Miller Podcast, presented by Deer Park Roofing. Now, here's your hosts, Paul Fritschner and Adam Baum, with the head coach of the Xavier Musketeers, Sean Miller.
Welcome into another episode of the Sean Miller Podcast. Paul Fritschner alongside Adam Baum, the head coach of the Xavier Musketeers. Over to my left, Sean Miller. And as always, this is presented by our presenting sponsor, Deer Park Roofing, and the official payroll sponsor of the Sean Miller Podcast, Payroll Partners. We are joined today by another new addition to the Xavier Musketeers. It is Marcus Foster, who comes to Xavier from Furman, where he spent 4 years there playing for Furman. Marcus, congratulations here on your transfer to the Musketeers, getting kind of acclimated to Cintas Center in Cincinnati. So welcome here to the Queen City. How are you doing? What's the maybe first impressions of being here at Xavier, being around Cintas, to speak to the Xavier fans that are watching this right now?
Yeah, I definitely love it here. It's definitely been an easy transition for me because I kind of knew what I was getting myself into in terms of what I was looking for in different schools. And, my time was great at Furman, but here it was a little bit of an adjustment in terms of it being a little bit bigger of a city. But I do like it a lot because there's some things to do. You can go to the baseball game. We're going to a soccer game this week. So, I definitely like it. I'm enjoying it. It's just going to take some time for me to find my ways around.
You come from, like I said, playing 4 years at Furman, make that decision to go into the transfer portal. We had Dante Maddox on this podcast in the last couple of weeks, and one of the things that he talked about was to him that the transfer portal was scary. It was a scary place. What was your decision like when you decided you wanted to come to Xavier? You were the first transfer that decided to come here in this whole portal season of this off season. You were the first one to take the leap to come here to Xavier.
Yeah. For me, it wasn't too scary. I would say probably for my family and the people around me, they were probably more so scared or worried. But I kind of knew that what kind of season I had and what I could do after that. And I was pretty much prepared to leave and enter the portal. So I kind of knew what I was getting myself into and what I would be looking for, which kind of helped me make my decision rather quickly.
Marcus, I think that's an important point because, part of our podcast, and I think really why I like to do it is, you have people that love college basketball. They don't just love Xavier that follow or sometimes give this a listen. And it's not easy to get the perspective of somebody who's made that decision. Your decision is, I was at Furman for 4 years, Coach. I got my degree. We won big, played in the NCAA Tournament, won a game in the NCAA Tournament. And then I made my decision in my final year to go to a different program. Like when Dante mentioned the portal for him was scary, that really got my attention because even the coach, we're on the other side of it, realize the emotion, the unknown, the fear of the unknown, who's going to call? How's this going to go? Am I going to get what I want to get to? But I thought one of the things that both you and your family were really unique on is that you really went into it with a feel of these are the important things that I need to have right. If I'm going to make my decision and go to that next program, whether it's the coach, the conference, the style, opportunity, I felt like I was talking to somebody that almost had a checklist of what would fit me the best and what I think I can impact that program the best doing are the following things. Would you say that's accurate? And my next feel or question for you would simply be what were those things that I thought really organized your thoughts as you went into the portal?
Yeah, I definitely did have a checklist, and once the season kind of ended, we gave it some time, but then me and my family really sat down and had a conversation on kind of the things we wanted to get out of the next spot. And the main thing, the number one priority for us was going to be the fit. How did I fit with just the coaching staff, the head coach in particular, and just the kind of players that he recruits. And so I just knew once I could find a system that I could fit into, I could kind of make my impact from that point on, and I could kind of deal with everything else. And after that, it was going to be more so everything was going to be in the head coach. So I really liked our conversations and the things that you were talking about, and I felt like you were really organized in your plan and what you saw for us and the team. And so, I mean, I really believed in that, and then I just really followed that up with just the ability for the team to win. And I really felt like Xavier had a huge shot at winning big this year. I mean, potentially a Final Four. And from there, everything else was kind of secondary because I knew that things would come just based off winning and being able to fit in with my coach and my staff and all my peers.
Great. Yeah, that's good stuff. You know, how about the conference? You know, just when you thought about, because, and I want to talk to you about the Southern Conference, right? The Southern Conference, I have a lot of respect and appreciation for it. You know, the way it's constructed, the coaches, I think there's some really terrific players, and you guys play. It's competitive. It's fun to watch for me, and I watch you play a lot in terms of when we were recruiting you. But when you made your decision, how much was our conference affiliation or looking at going to the conferences a part of your decision-making process? I'm
not going to lie. I never really knew much about the Big East, I would say. Like, obviously, I knew about UConn because they were winning, and then maybe Villanova. Those are probably like the two main teams I knew about for real. But just being from the South and just growing up there and playing in the South and the Southern Conference, I watched all ACC schools, SEC schools.
Right.
And so I was mainly thinking about like the ACC, not necessarily too much SEC, but mainly the ACC. But then when the Big East called, I really started doing my homework, and after our conversations, I really found that this could be a conference for me, especially when you talked about the physicality. So that really was intriguing to me.
Yeah. One thing about the Big East, they'll call foul every once in a while, but it takes a while to get to that point. You know, they reward physicality, they reward toughness, and it's what we signed up for. When the shot goes up, Marcus, toughest team, toughest man wins. And I think like all of us embracing that, big thing that I loved about you in terms of our approach to recruiting you is, and you don't always think about this, you probably don't even realize this, how well you rebound. Like for Furman, you did an outstanding job rebounding the ball, especially for somebody your size. And that translates. I've never met a player that we've recruited or coached that you see really rebound well, and then all of a sudden that skill goes away. It just naturally you either have it or you don't. Conversely, I think when you struggle to rebound, you might incrementally improve in that area, but there's a reason that you're struggling. And I think one of the many attributes you bring to our team is a physicality and a toughness that can defend multiple positions, but also rebound the ball. You know, one thing I want to remind you of on the Big East that's unique, and I think you'll really enjoy this, we play a round-robin schedule. With the new conferences throughout, not everybody plays each other twice. I actually think there's a few conferences that might not touch each other one time. You're in the same conference, you might not even be able to play them once. I don't know that for sure, but 100% twice. The Big East is you get everybody, 10 teams, once at home and once on the road. Makes for a 20-game schedule, not an 18-game schedule. And then when we go to the Big East tournament, and I know I've talked to you about this in the recruiting, there's just nothing like playing in the Big East tournament. It's its own separate March Madness. And the pageantry, what it feels like to play in the Garden, to be in the city, and how meaningful these games are, it's a gift for all of us, and you'll really feel that. So think about it. That's game 21. If you advance, game 22. And those are built in, locked and loaded, and you're going to really enjoy the Big East Conference. I know that.
Let me tell you one thing, Marcus. I don't know how much coach can say about the officiating, but if you ever want somebody to vent about the officiating, that guy right there, Adam Baum, he's got a vendetta against every Big East official out there. You got any issues? That guy right there, that's your guy.
They don't call any
And
fouls.
look, for the record, so we're on point here. There's some excellent officiating in the Big East.
There are.
Yeah.
And you know
a couple
what?
guys like to give a quick tee. And that's a story for another day, but we'll figure that out moving forward.
I think I'm very fair in that I will recognize and celebrate good officiating when I see it. But I also have to be fair the other way. And it's like when it's not good,
You're going to say something.
I get loud. Yeah. I got your back, Coach. I know what tier we're in, and we're working our way up.
The Sean Miller Podcast is proud to partner with Deer Park Roofing, a company that's provided elite service for homes and businesses since 1996 and leads the industry in professionalism, quality, and responsiveness. Whether your needs are residential or commercial, like the outstanding work on the Cintas Center, the home of Xavier basketball, Deer Park can handle any job and ensure it's done right. Deer Park's motto is protect what's important, and what's important to you is important to Deer Park Roofing. Visit deerparkroofing.com.
Marcus, one of the things that I wanted to point out for you is, you went through an injury this past season during the season, and it was serious, but it's not serious moving forward.
Right.
Okay, but I think it's one of the most difficult things for a player to go through. It's one thing to be injured and miss time, but when you start off and you're playing well and you're in a rhythm, and then all of a sudden you're taken from the team, you're isolated, you don't know how it's going to work. Now then you're released to come back and you're expected to come back and pick right up where you left off. It is one of the most difficult things to do as a player. Talk to me about, and really all of us about, going through that this year at Furman, when it happened, how it happened, and just the rehab process coming out on the other side. Because, and I've talked to Coach Ritchie and I talked to the people at Furman, I think all of them would say it's difficult to judge your percentage shooting and a lot of things as a full year when you think about what you went through,
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I mean, as far as the shooting, when you go through an injury like that, it's kind of hard because you're not able to get those same reps up that you once were able to build off of in the summer, because you start shooting as early as the summer and you're able to keep building, and hopefully your numbers can start to progress, and that's what mine usually do throughout the course of a season. But as far as the injury, it was a crazy experience. I mean, I had always dealt with injuries before, just playing college basketball. You get crazy injuries all the time, but this was a crazy one in the fact that the first 8 games in, I was having a great season, phenomenal, and then it's just one bad play where I just make the wrong move and dive for a ball and somebody dives onto my knee, and I end up tearing my MCL, and it was really bad. I felt it completely shift. Yeah. It was completely torn, and it was either going to be surgery or just get 2 PRP injections where they had to inject me with a needle into my knee to help speed up the process.
Pretty painful, right?
That was one of the most painful things.
Yeah, the people tell me that. Mm-hmm.
So thankfully my mom came down, and my sister might have came down too with me and just was there helping me just get around, because I couldn't walk. I had my knee in this brace where it was just you couldn't bend it, you couldn't move it at all. And so I just really, while I was injured, I just really took that time in to just accept what had happened, and to really watch my team and just be behind the scenes, just knowing that as soon as I was able to just bend it in the slightest, I was going to do everything I could to get back to be with my teammates. And so as soon as I kind of got better, I attacked the recovery process as hard as I possibly could, making sure I was in the gym literally all day trying to get back. And I was able to recover pretty quickly in 6 weeks. And it's crazy because my coach was trying to hold me back a little bit, being cautious. And I was just just ready. I want to come down. And the first game, I kind of, the first half of the first game back, I kind of struggled a little bit. But as soon as the second half hit, I exploded for 18 and 10 points. And then it was crazy. And then just based off, just off that game, I just kept building. And I ended up finishing with a good season.
Yeah. No, it's impressive, and I think it's difficult. The thing about when you get injured in a team sport like basketball, no matter how much the coaches, the trainer, strength coach, and even your teammates, and you always need them the most, that try to make you feel like you're still a part of it, you're not. I mean, you're not out there with them. You just, so although they love you, they respect you, and you're trying to be a part of it, it's just different. And the word isolation comes to me because that's what I remember when I went through it myself as a player. You're alone and you don't feel a part of it. A big win, you're happy, but you just not the same feeling. And then all of a sudden when you get the chance to come back, you remember it and everything feels better again,
It was crazy because the game I got injured in, we were in New Jersey playing Princeton, And right after that, like literally right after that, we were flying to go play Arkansas. And, you know, when you go to Furman or a smaller school, you get only a few games where you're playing like those high major teams to go show out. And, you know, Arkansas, they fill like 20,000 in there.
Right.
And so I was pissed. Like I had to fly home. I had to literally fly home, and I had to watch the game on TV. I couldn't even be there. Like I was pretty mad at that one.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to have a few more games on TV this year. Don't worry
So
about
I get
that
it
one.
back.
Well,
I definitely get it back.
So let's talk about a game that was on TV, one of your let's just say it. Your most memorable game in the NCAA tournament, a game that everybody watching this, everybody listening to this will remember. A couple of years ago, playing Virginia, one of the wildest endings to an NCAA tournament game that you'll remember. Kevin Harlan on the call.
Stan Van Gundy. They showed him, you know, like you couldn't believe it. Yeah, it's wild.
It's such an unbelievable scene. And for you to be a part of that, you had 14 points, 5 rebounds in that game. Mm-hmm. And to go through that experience, just talk us through that game.
Yeah, that was that's a crazy one. That's definitely going to be like top 10 moments ever. That's why one of the reasons why I came here, just so I can experience that again, because I mean there's nothing like that. When my boy JP hit the shot, I probably haven't celebrated that hard in a minute. I usually keep it cool, but when he hit that, I couldn't believe it. And I mean it was just crazy, just the amount of like people who just show support during those like moments, who just came there to see us play, and just the amount of people we affected and just inspired just off winning the game, and just showing people that, I mean, we come to compete and we can win any game.
I mean, Marcus, for the perspective, that was Furman's first ever NCAA tournament appearance.
Man, yeah, I mean, that was the first time we had, you know, got a berth to go in 43 years.
Right.
So, I mean, it was
and you were so close because I mean, again, that's the deal of being in the Southern Conference. Unless you win the conference tournament, no matter how remarkable of regular season that you had, and you had several, you know, you can't get that March Madness feeling, you know. And
I was about to say, and it's even crazier because the year before we lost on the buzzer beater, so we didn't even get to go.
Right.
And that year it was Chattanooga.
Was that the Chattanooga game?
Yeah.
Oh God, that was painful.
That's what I'm saying. So it takes a lot to get to March Madness, especially when you play at the mid-major level. And so, you know, I had lost on the buzzer beaters. I had lost on first rounds. I won on buzzer beaters. So like it's just been crazy.
So to go from that Chattanooga game, which obviously for you is memorable. I mean, me being just, you know, diehard, you watch everything during championship week, you remember that. And as a moment that sticks out, when you think about like Fairleigh Dickinson, I remember their message after they won in Dayton, and they said, we're going to go and we're going to beat Purdue. Then they went, and 2 days later, they beat Purdue. What's the message like? What are you talking about before a game? Because I'm sure there's a lot of, you know, maybe motivation, whatever it is, but you go out there and you actually get it done. You beat Virginia's, I think, a 13 seed in that game. You know, what was it going into that?
I mean, it's really like you're attacking all the other games before. You got your coaches, they plan and prepare, and as a player, you just do what you can to make sure you're in the best shape mentally and physically, and then you just operate with just the ultimate belief that you're going to win the game, and you go out there and you play your hardest, and hopefully you win. That's really all it is to it. It's more so just enjoying the moment. I would say in times like that, it's going to be a lot of pressure on a team like Purdue to win, because they know if they lose, they're going to be on SportsCenter, people are going to be clowning them. So, you know, for us, it's more so you're just more free. You need to enjoy the moment, just have perspective, and just remember what all it took to get to this moment.
You know, I talked to Coach Mack. Coach Mack used to be the coach at Xavier, and he was my assistant coach for 5 years when I was the head coach here the first time. And I think we've told you this story, but 2 different times, me being the head coach at Arizona, we played Xavier in the Sweet 16, once in LA and once in San Jose. And Matt Stainbrook, who I think at that point might have had, you guys can look it up, 1 3-point attempt in the history of the world, maybe 0, you know, comes out, you know, like opening play or opening shot and launches a 3, right? And the thing goes in and out. And I remember like my heart was beating, and all of a sudden, you know, I felt like it stopped. Like, he just shot a 3. Whoa, what is he doing? Like, but the point is, in the NCAA tournament, because I've talked to Coach Mack about this, man, it's house money sometimes. You know, like you got nothing to lose when you're the heavy underdog. you want your team to play free. They don't always play free, and just because they're playing free doesn't mean it's going to work. There's a reason they're the underdog. But sometimes when you get guys playing free, and for example, if that 3 goes in and then he shoots another one, then things are happening in the game that haven't happened before, and it starts to play games with a game. It's like the game within the game, and now you adjust, and my team tightens. I tighten as a coach. And it's something to guard against if you're the favorite, and it's something to keep in mind if you're the underdog, because I think both of those factors are in play. We played Kennesaw State, being from Atlanta, and they had a really good team. They had several good players, and we knew that. It wasn't like we didn't have a lack of respect, but the name Kennesaw State doesn't make you feel the same way if you're getting ready to play UConn.
Right.
So we went into it, and they had us down, quite frankly. If we played that game over 5 times, I don't know how many times we win. I mean, it was a really even game. And I thought one of the things they did a great job of is they played free. They were, what do we got to lose? We hadn't been in a tournament in a while. It was the first time we came back in the tournament as a 3 seed. We were tight for some of the game, and you really felt that. So that's what makes March Madness so amazing. And like you experienced it on the end of Furman. I hope you experience it on the other end, Xavier being maybe more of a favorite entering it,
Exactly.
I love March. I know you guys love March too. And I love November because that's when games start, right? But I also love this period in time right now. Like what we're watching, me and Paul get to show up every day and we get to watch you guys practice. And the reality of your situation right now is this is a new team. Now it's different in that the new players are not new to college basketball. You guys are experienced. You've done this dance before. But I found it really interesting when you walked into this room, you sat down in that chair, coach sat down next to you, and you said, man, it was fast today. And it reminded me of something in that right now you're learning how to play with a new team. You're learning a new system. You've got new coaches. And you're being asked to learn it fast, right? Like you have to play fast here. And I'm just kind of curious, like this process for you in your mind of coming to a new place and doing all these new things and being asked to play at the pace that you're playing at, what's the process like for picking that up and trying to be, because I thought in particular today, I thought you had a really good day. I thought you were one of the guys who stood out as like, man, things are starting to click for Marcus Foster. So how have you approached all this?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it started back when I knew I was going to go into the portal. Like, when I tell you we sat down and made a list, like, I really sat down and thought about what I wanted to do. And whatever program I landed at, I wanted to just buy in completely. So in terms of practice and just retaining information, I just really listen and just break it down anytime he's explaining something. That way I really don't even have to go over it again. I just know it like that when he says something. So, I mean, it's just – I like it because it's challenging and it gives me the opportunity to ask guys on the team questions, and it helps me get to know them better. And so it's definitely good for me to talk to the coaches as well, because I get to ask them questions about what to do here, what to do there, and just gives me an opportunity to appear more coachable. And so I definitely like it, and I definitely like the offense because it definitely goes into my favor in terms of playing fast, because I love getting up and down the floor. I love rebounding and pushing the ball. I love being able to show I can defend multiple players. So it's definitely fun.
I think Marcus has a gift that everybody who plays this game wants to have, and that is he can really shoot the basketball. And I think putting him in a position to do that, I think that, fans that love our program, they're going to love, watching you shoot the ball. But any guy who develops shooting, and I hope we continue to make you an even better shooter, you came to us ready-made. Who do you give the most credit to other than yourself in allowing you to develop into a shooter?
Yeah, I would definitely say that developed at my last school at Furman University. I mean, we just definitely put a lot of emphasis on being able to shoot. I mean, I learned just how to play the game there, just more polished, learning how to play on 2 feet, learning what's a good shot, what's a bad shot. You talked about that a little bit today in practice. So, so that's where I definitely learned just how to shoot, how many reps I need to be getting up, like how fast I need to get the shot off, and like the drill we do at the end of like a skill workout where we're trying to get as many
stamina shooting.
Like that's the first, like in college, that's the first time where I've done something like that. So although I've never done stamina shooting, I've done drills similar to it. So it wasn't the first time I've done something like that. So I would give the credit to just being at another school for 4 or 5 years and developing.
And look, Marcus, you know, me watching Furman, well-coached team, excellent program. And I think that the things that guys like yourself did in that program for 4 years, you have pride now. I think that pride will even grow deeper as you get older and look back at that experience, because when you say Furman in the world of college basketball, people really respect you. They respect the coach, Coach Ritchie. They respect the program. I think the investment in the program, you know. And I think what you did there, you should have a lot of pride.
Yes,
and me now, you know, taking the baton from Furman and coaching you, you come to us well-versed, like on defense, shell defense, gap, help, whatever. Even though some of the terminology may be different, you know how to do those drills. I can see it right away, right? This isn't the first time that he's heard that before. And, and I think that's part of what I'm so excited about coaching our team, that I think you're also surrounded by a number of other guys who come from a similar background that bring that winning experience to what we're doing. And I'm sure you feel that. Like Adam's asking about the transition, and yeah, it is challenging, but because of how well you were coached and the things you did there already, you'll pick up things in our program that much easier.
But this is like kind of what we were saying. Like we had these talks back when we were talking over Zoom and over the phone, so we kind of knew. Like you were even saying, it's fast, but you're gonna pick it up.
Concepts,
the weight room's gonna be hard, but you're gonna be fine.
I do have to ask you about the weight room. Give me one word to describe
you're right. Yeah.
Andy Kettler, our
insane. You were definitely right about him for sure.
He's the best AE. But I saw your mom and dad this weekend, and I just asked them. I think I asked your dad. I said, I know Marcus came home, last week over the 4th. I said, what do you think? He looked at me and goes, man, he's getting big, And but yeah, no, it's good. And I know you had a very good strength coach at Furman, but he can really bring out the best in you, no doubt. And he's getting your legs strong. I mean, I see it from when you came here until now. And look, in the Big East, you're going to be ready to go.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, he always gives you a hard time. Like he's on you. It's fun though. It's good. He's crazy.
We got to have we haven't really asked him to be a guest on this podcast, and I think that we might have to make it mandatory and get him on here. Coach
So funny story for you, Coach. The very first time I met Andy Kettler was in Mario's office, and I still was a reporter at the Cincinnati Enquirer at the time, and he got introduced to me, said Adam Baum, Andy Kettler, and the very first thing he said to me was, no interviews ever. But
the growth and development and adapting and evolving, right? That's all part of what we have to do in this world. So yeah, he's gonna have to step up.
I think if the podcast goes mobile, we bring the studio down to him in the weight room. He feels a little more comfortable in his environment. We get to show off the weight room. That's in the background. Maybe he'll do it then. Yeah. Maybe not. I don't know.
It'd be a good show. I know that.
It would be. Yeah.
Marcus, one thing that I want to just end with here today is, I've gotten to know your family in some ways a short period of time, but, when you're connected with through 3 or 4 months, 5 or 6 months, and now you're here, you're part of our basketball family, and they are as well. I know you come from a close-knit family. Just love for you to just talk about, your family and who they are and the impact that they've had on not only, forget basketball, but just you as a person.
Yeah, so it's always been me. I'm the oldest. I have a little sister, Naya, and then a little brother, Zach, who also plays basketball. He's 17. He's going into a senior year. So he plays at Woodward Academy. I can't comment
other than to say we're recruiting him. I'll stop there, but you can fill in the blanks.
No, he's really good, and he's super talented, and I project him to be better than me because, I just see the skills that he has now. All he has left to do is just fill out his frame, and I think he'll be really good. And then you got my dad and mom, who's always been there for all of us, very supportive. They've always done anything that we've needed them to do, and they played as much of an impact on like the decisions that we make as anybody. So I mean, I love them to death, and they helped me with this decision. They helped me with a lot of decisions. I mean, they're always there for me, and so I mean, I really love them.
Yeah, no, you have a great
awesome.
family, great support system, and I saw them this weekend, and kind of saw them, the support that they were giving Zach.
Yeah, they're always
cool.
there. I mean, when I went home, I was able to have some time to watch Zach play. I mean, I probably saw 5 or 6 games, and it was just me and my mom, and we went to go watch Zach, and that's just the things we like to do, just support each other. So it's always great.
Awesome. Well, we're super excited to have you here, man.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you being on the podcast, but more importantly, I think we're looking forward to what's to come.
Yes, sir. No problem. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Marcus. Appreciate it. For Adam, Paul, signing off. This has been another episode of the Sean Miller Podcast. I want to thank, as always, our presenting sponsor, Deer Park Roofing, and the official payroll sponsor of the Sean Miller Podcast, Payroll Partners. We'll see you next week on the Sean Miller Podcast.
This has been the Sean Miller Podcast, presented by Deer Park Roofing, with your hosts, Paul Fritschner and Adam Baum. Join us again soon for another episode with the head coach of the Xavier Musketeers, Sean Miller.